This program features live coverage of an African safari and may include animal kills and carcasses. Viewer discretion is advised.
It's a chilly start to our sunrise safari, but a good start in the fact that we've already found tracks for two of the T's that call this landscape home in the form of Tingana and Kalahari. And hopefully it means that we're going to be able to find the two spotted cats at some point on this, your very own live African safari. Good morning, everybody, and welcome to this sunrise safari. Like I say, it's a cold morning here. Hopefully it's going to warm up at some point, but it is quite frigid this morning, and I've lost my gloves, so I'm very, very sad because I feel like my fingers are going to rot off, which is not ideal. Anyway, my name is Tristan. On camera I've got BK this morning, and we are coming to you live from various parts of South Africa, and so we would love to hear from you guys. We would love to hear from you on Twitter using hashtag WildEarth or at FC on the YouTube chat stream, as well as kids. You can send your kids' questions to kidsquestions@wildearth.tv. Now, I was saying we've got tracks. Tingana's tracks already come past camp and then turn north up Gallagher shortcut. So Lauren's on those ones. I'm on what I think is Kalahari's tracks, coming up towards the area where I had Tortoise Pan and Shadulu yesterday. So I want to just follow these and see. She most likely will cut north from here. If she does, then she's going to bypass those two. If she cuts south, here the power lines are right here in this direction, or kind of southwest, then she's going straight to where I had those two leopards. So I want to just follow these ones first, and if nothing here, then we'll go around and try and figure out if Tortoise Pan and Shadulu decided to end their little feud last night and he allow her to come out of the tree. When I left, she was still in the tree, very precariously perched, and he was down below sawing and making quite a lot of noise. So let's see what happens here. I was thinking maybe that if Kalahari heard him sawing, that she's going to go there, particularly if she goes into an estrus cycle, and you never know, maybe she starts mating with Tortoise Pan. It's possible. So I thought it would be a good idea to come follow up on this trifecta of spottedness this morning. I'm thinking that that's going to be a good plan. These tracks are just going straight up the road here. I'm pretty sure if these are Kalahari, this would have been where we are now, would have been still early last night. These won't be right now, unless she got waylaid and caught up with those other two further south of me. But I don't think so. I'm pretty sure these are her from early in the night, which means she could be already in Torchwood via Buffelshoek, knowing her. She's a busy cat at times. The tracks are still just going straight along the road here, so we'll just follow these along. The nice thing is what this takes us to is sandy patch area that bends back around towards Impala Plains. So will take us kind of towards where we need to go if these don't go that way, and then we'll go and check what's happening. See, I've lost the track now. I wasn't paying attention. That's what happens sometimes as I get sidetracked. Alright, so I can't see where she's gone now, so I might just have to reverse to go and see where she cut off. In the meantime though, let's send you across to the weather for this morning.
Good morning, everyone, from Team Wendy. What a fantastic start to the day for us. Look what we have. One of my favourite, actually I say favourite about everything. Oh, really. But it is one of my favourite raptors. We have, in fact, a very large, fully mature martial eagle. And it's really not too often that we see martial eagles. We do see them, but not too often here in Juma. My name is Lauren, and I do have Davi on camera, and we're just on Gallagher shortcut / searching for Mr. Tingana Banana, and we found a martial eagle. I did a lot of work with them in the Masai Mara, so when I came back to Juma, I actually missed them. Raptors are just incredible. And when we say predator, it's a word that encompasses all animals. This is an aerial predator. So when you say, how do the predators do this? It's a very broad word. This is one of the most epic predators in the skies that we get here. Martial eagles can actually take down antelope. We found the Impala carcass in the Masai Mara that had actually been taken down by a monogamous pair of martial eagles, the two of them. There's actually lots of horror stories as well about martial eagles having the ability to take very small babies, but let's not talk about that. That's not too pleasant. They are just incredible, extremely powerful, and the largest of all the sort of eagles we get out here. Really easy to identify. I mean, from a distance, you can see that contrast, the white sort of chest, dark body, dark head, and it's got a completely different sort of shape from a fish eagle. Look at it, he's scanning the skies. That white chest is obviously spotted. It's not completely white, it's got little speckles of brown throughout it. They're really remarkable. Highly visual, as with most raptors, searching the ground for anything that it can prey on for the day. They've also got, it's actually difficult to tell from this sort of view, but they've got feathers on the crown of their head that often stick up. It's another easy way to identify it from afar. It's almost like the Wahlbergs in that respect, but it's far more obvious. The feathers on the crown of the head really stand up. They've got bright yellow eyes too, but it's difficult to tell from here. We're quite far away. K. I have not. I have in the Mara. In the Masai Mara, we went to check on a nest, believe it or not, but not on Juma, I'm afraid, which is really unfortunate. Wouldn't that be such a wonderful thing to follow? Watch the chicks. Sadly, I have not here, but in the Mara, they actually put a camera, sort of like a very small camera trap, up on the trees next to a martial eagle nest. Now, I think this was before the marshals came back and used it for the year. And my goodness, it caught all sorts of magnificent things on what the mother was bringing back for the chicks, what the chick was eating. A leopard arrived one day. And really, it's amazing what happens at nest sites that we miss. But I would really love to see a martial eagle chick and just watch it every single day. They are monogamous. So it's long-term monogamy as well. It's not sort of short-term social monogamy or just one breeding season. So you can follow the pairs. And that's exactly what they do in the Mara. They've got all the pairs tagged and they've got them named. The pair I used to see the most was the olive pair. Oh, that's such a great sighting. I'm very impressed. We've gotten off to a good start, everyone. I'm going to keep scratching around to see if I can see any signs of the Duke. And we're going to send you guys over to JP in Pridelands to say good morning.
Thanks for this female leopard disappear.
Good morning and welcome to WildEarth. We live at Eco Training Pridelands and are right at the top of Impala Plains at the moment. So my name is JP LaRue and behind the camera we've got Paul. For the moment we're just watching this cold front that's approaching us, and the next few days the temperatures is going to drop. And already this morning the temperature on the way in was roughly some 5 degrees Celsius. So quite often when we do have a wind chill combined with more wind and more cold temperatures coming in, we see that animals tend to lie fairly flat. and try to expose themselves to the minimum that they don't get excessively cold and lose heat in that way. So we see that over South Africa, there's been quite a lot of snow over the interior, and then temperatures in Johannesburg is extremely cold at the moment. What I do find quite interesting is that there's one of the favorite national parks that I like to go to, which is called Karoo National Park, where there actually has been snow. And there's been a few pictures that has come from there where there's lion tracks that are actually moving through the snow, which is something that's very unique for Southern Africa. So we're going to spend a little bit more time over here in this open plains area. We're just going to start scanning and see what we can find. And hopefully now that the sun will be coming up in the next moment or two, the animal activity will start to become more prevalent. In the distance, we might just see some wildebeest that are starting to come into the bottom of this plains area. It's also one of the typical plains game species, and quite often when it comes to antelope species, which does occur on plains, we'll notice that both male and female has horns compared to antelope species, which generally frequents woodlands, where only the males will have horns. And the reason, therefore, is that the females need horns to protect themselves and their young against potential threats such as predators. And in an open plains area like this, we can generally expect animals such as cheetah. However, cheetah is quite scarce within this area.
When you wrap, Holdo speaking.
We're going to start moving on and see what we can go and find in the meanwhile.
While JP looks around, we are also scratching. There's just leopard tracks everywhere here. This looks like another female that's come onto Vervet access. These tracks that I'm looking at now. So I'm pretty sure it's Kalamba that's turned up Aubrey's Road, which is her normal route. She takes that way. But this track that I've just seen now looks like Kara's. It's very little, so it's definitely not Shadula and not Kalamba. So then Kara is also in this whole story now, which is interesting. Just want to see where she goes. So Kalamba seems like she's gone straight north up and towards Buffelshoek. That's why I'm not carrying on following her tracks. But Kara, on the other hand, looks like she's milling about. I know she likes hunting on this open clearing, so I often like looking for her here. She enjoys this little section. Impalas in front that look very chilled. Let me keep looking here. I don't see her tracks now. She might have gone up more towards Sandy Patch. Unfortunately, we don't get much signal there, so I don't want to go that side just yet. Arlas, what do you guys see? Or are you just aware because it's early morning? They look very chilled. Alright, to worry them. So no tracks coming out this side that I can see for her, so she must have continued more north. Alright, so let me just keep looking around, so let's just figure out what's going on and see where all of these different footprints end up heading.
For signs of Mr. Tungbana. His tracks have gone off into the block, but I have a funny feeling he could be in Buffelshoek already. We're almost at Buffelshoek cut line and we followed him so far north, it would not surprise me if he's already crossed. So I think that's what we'll check first. There's no point in going round and round and round if an animal animal's already crossed. And if he has crossed, it's very unlikely that we'll be able to follow. The cut line is literally just in front of us. Animals walk great distances, especially the Talamatis. So if he's on patrol or he's mobile, we're already 2 hours behind him. But right up ahead, that's the sign for Buvelsuk, so that's how close we are. There's a large chance he's either lounging around on the cut line or he's crossed. He didn't cross here, that's for sure. Tingana's a very predictable individual, I think. He takes the most predictable routes. He's always, if he goes north, he's always on Gallagher shortcut. Not territorial, but predictable, yes. And if we don't see the tracks crossing out, then that means he's still in the block somewhere. So that in itself is a big clue that he's still on Juma. Okay, I'm going to really concentrate on looking for signs of Tingana crossing out. We're going to send you guys over to JP.
Good morning and welcome back to Pridelands. We're just busy enjoying the sunrise at the moment and would like to provide you the opportunity to do so as well. At the same time, we would like to encourage you to listen to all the different sounds that we can hear in the background. In the distance, there was a pearl-spotted owl, which is one of the second smallest owls in South Africa, a number of different starlings, as well as hornbills that are calling. While we enjoy our sunrise, we're going to link you back to Lauren and see what she's up to.
We're still busy on the ground, everybody. This road has already been driven quite heavily. And that's a big issue with the cut lines. You kind of got to be the first. So what you need to do is look at the side of the road, almost where the curb would be if you were thinking of an actual road. And that's where you're going to see the animals, because in the middle, it's already been driven. We've already passed a few vehicles. I don't see anything of a leopard crossing out, a male leopard or any leopard. That's a good thing. Okay, Dwarf, are you ready? We had cold coffee this morning, everyone. Our generator's running. For some reason, it doesn't power the microwave, so, you know, it's a fragile morning without piping hot coffee. This road is really one that I personally hardly take. It's really not one that is taken often. And it's not really got a name. And so it's kind of been nicknamed Gallagher Shortcut, which makes absolutely no sense whatsoever, but that's what it's called. I think I had a sighting of Klalamba here once, and that's about it. But it's always worth checking. Every single road is worth checking. And knowing Tingana as well, he could be flat cat. Lisa, you would love to see him. I know, me too. We had such a fantastic sighting with him, Davy and I, just maybe 2 weeks ago now on quarantine. He really showed off. But yes, I hope we get lucky. If he's still around, I'm sure we will. He's so nomadic now that he really does wander. He was on Cheetah Plains not so long ago. He just wanders, living his best life. No need to waste any energy being territorial. Just chilling. And that's what I think of when I think of Tingana. He's doing so well. He looks great. He looks fantastic. It's very difficult. You could potentially get confused. I would think a sub-adult would probably be already bigger than a leopard. Small, young lion, possibly. But you would look at size, but you could easily get confused. But the thing is, you're not going to really, in all honesty, find a sort of sub-adult young lion wandering on its own in the exact same path that we had Tingana. We know Tingana was on the dam camp, so we could follow. We already had that knowledge, so we can follow his tracks. But if you don't have that prior knowledge, yes, they could easily be confused, 100%. But you're not really going to find a young sub-adult. Leopard tracks really far smaller than a lion, much smaller. So a lion that size, I don't think would be wandering on its own. It would be with the pride, and then you would see all the other tracks. But we're quite lucky in a way that we do follow the animals' movements. We know where they were last. We know where the Talamatis are. We know where the Inkohumas are. So you sort of know where roughly everybody's moving. You don't necessarily know exactly where they are. But we always have prior knowledge, especially when you've been here quite some time. I've been here, I think, 2 weeks now. And I know where everybody's moving. We've got to grips on that. It's hard when you come back from being off or being on leave or not having been here for a while to try and piece together everything again. But essentially, at the end of the day, if you didn't have any prior knowledge, you could get muddled up between a young lion and a leopard, a male leopard. Absolutely. They're very similar. This road just feels so unfamiliar. I really don't drive this road. But Tingana likes to take little rest stops. He doesn't go on territorial patrol anymore. So he walks, he sits. He walks, he sits. So it would be ideal if we could catch him before he crossed out. Lots of people travel to the sands, the northern sector, just to see Tingana, or they used to. He's quite a character in this area. Okay, I'm going to keep searching high and low for now, and hopefully we get lucky.
Hi, I'm Dee from the south coast of England. Today I was told I have won the most amazing prize to go to Maritaba. Oh, I can't believe it. I became hooked on WildEarth last year when I was trying to escape COVID, and animals are my thing. I just love them and I love what WildEarth does. So that's why I wanted to become an explorer. Just so looking forward to going out to Maritaba. Want to do a walking safari. Thank you so much, WildEarth.
WildEarth Explorers. It's in your nature.
Hi, I'm Nikki, your guide here at andBeyond in Ngala. So my favorite animal in the African bush definitely has to be the zebra, because like people, with our fingerprints, every single zebra has a different stripe pattern. And, of course, a group of zebras together is called the dazzle. How unique is that? Come and join me or one of my colleagues here in Ngala for a sunrise and sunset safari on WildEarth.
This is a battle of two great carnivores of the African wilderness. Whew. Whoa! You don't want to be under those jaws. Definitely, this round goes to the lion. Look at that. Fantastic.
Expect the unexpected here on WildEarth daily.
Hi everyone, my name's Daniel Fisher and I'm going to be your guide this afternoon. I'm looking really forward to taking you through and showing you all the beautiful places here at andBeyond in Ngala. If you have any questions, please register on our website. Once registered, go to the live page feed and post your questions underneath the live feed. Join me on my next safari through andBeyond in Ngala on WildEarth. Send me live questions through the WildEarth website and I'll answer them live from the African bush.
Well, we're trying to decode what is happening with all of these leopard tracks. It's ridiculous. There's tracks for Tortoise Pan going everywhere. He was on a mission last night. And his tracks are going in north, south, east, west, and just pretty much everywhere. And then there's Shadulu's tracks in amongst it, Tingana in amongst that, Kara and Klalamba. So it's 5 different leopards that are all walking in the same areas, which is creating a bit of a nightmare from a trying to find them point of view. And it's also creating a nightmare because everyone's following tracks and converging. So there's just way too many cars in this area. If we do find these leopards, it's going to be messy, I'm afraid. But anyway, we'll try it. Tortoise Pan, I've got tracks going kind of westwards back towards Triple M, but there's also a track going south at the moment. So I'm just on the southern track just to see where these go and see whether or not these are the fresher ones. They look pretty good, these ones, so I want to follow them and check. If not, then maybe the ones that go eastward, I don't know, because there's 2 male leopards that have crossed into Buffelshoek, their tracks, so that could be Tavangumi and Tingana, and Tortoise Pan has gone further south. Difficult to know. The guys are saying the one track up there is very big, and Tortoise Pan does have nice sized feet. His track is a decent track as well, but you see he's cut off here now by the looks of things. Try to get hold of the guys in the west. No, there is. I mean, if you look at the size of this boy's feet, they're big. I'm just going to try to see if I can find a way to show you. I wonder if lately we just haven't been tracking him and we think it's Mulawati every time, but it's actually just Tortoise Pan that is moving about. There we go. So his tracks are running on the road here. I don't know if you can see them clearly, BK. I'm not sure. They're quite tough to make out because of the texture of the sand. But that track there is about double the size of what we were seeing earlier with the female track, kind of moving down. So I don't know if he did a big loop and he went back there and what's going on, because Shadulu's tracks looks like they go west, east, back towards sort of quarantine section. So I'm not 100% sure. I'll follow these though a little bit further and let's see if they cross out. Then we know these are probably the freshest tracks. If they turn this way, then the tracks on the power lines coming back are probably the fresher ones. But last night when I left him, he was just constantly kind of doing these loops around Shadulu's tree and just like leaving her up there, and he'd go off and he'd saw scent mark and then he'd walk quite far and then all of a sudden he'd turn and come back again. So it was quite tricky to figure out what he was actually getting up to and why he was walking the ways that he was walking. Seems like he goes straight out here. Just want to double check. So Nina, there was one male leopard that we thought that might have been the case with, which was Mfokazi. So Mfokazi was a male that we saw here for a while. I know some of you have been asking about him, but there's been no updates on him that I know of since last year. So in all likelihood that maybe he's no longer with us, but at the end of the day he also did disappear for long periods, and then all of a sudden he'd pop up in random places, so it's not unlikely that that's the case. But yeah, he wasn't an individual that, let's see, he went straight across here. These tracks are pretty good. I mean, there's a few cars that have driven over them, but so yeah, he was nomadic. He was seen all over the place. Thorny Bush, Manyeleti, here, down to Singita side. So yeah, he had quite a large sort of area that he moved in and never really seemed to settle and become territorial. The other one that might be one that does that too is going to be a male called Masava. You guys, a lot of you won't know him, but Masava is a relative of Tavangumi, and he lost his mom at about 8 months old. So because of that, it seems like he just didn't feed very well for a long time, and that meant that he unfortunately didn't grow much. So he's tiny. His footprint is like a little female track. His body looks like a female, and he looks like, I reckon, same size as Shadulu, maybe slightly taller than her, but not by much. And so his size is going to be something that's going to be held against him the whole time. If he doesn't somehow find a growth spurt, I don't think he'll ever hold a territory. I think he'll be constantly just a youngster that just never quite made it, unfortunately, into a territorial male. I think it's quite interesting because he's still within his dad's territory, even though he's almost 6 years old. And that's purely because he's so non-threatening. I don't think dad really cares. And neither do any of the other males. He's so small that he doesn't really actually give them anything to worry about. So that's why they're quite happy for him to, meander about and do his thing without chasing him away. All right, I just wanted to come down to this area just in case Tortoise Pan came down to where Shadulu had a kill. She had a kill straight here. This is her tracks coming in from yesterday. So we'll just check here to see where he goes. Adam, how are nomadic leopards interactions, well, how do they play out? Always different. But most of the time, nomadic leopards, they bump into dominant leopards. Very seldom that you're going to get two nomadic cats bumping into one another at the same time. That's very, very, very unlikely. But in the event that they did, I'd imagine both individuals, like what we saw with Marips and Tsemba the other day, just try and kind of be as submissive and as sort of calm as possible. If they feel like they're in danger, or if they feel like they're big enough and strong enough, they then will be quite sort of dominating in that interaction. So I think it really depends on the sizes, depends on who they're running into, which will dictate what the behavior will be. But yeah, there'll be lots of growling, lots of snarling, lots of salivating. generally. And then from there, it's either, okay, I want to stake my claim here to this particular area, or I'm scared I'm going to try and be submissive and try and not get myself hurt. Those would be the two options that a leopard will go through as a nomadic individual. You must have just gone straight across here, because I don't see his tracks coming down any further. Unless Mulawati was also involved in all of this, it's possible. Because his track comes straight across here, and then I lose it on all of this stuff. Oh, here it is, yeah. Where did he go, though? Makes no sense, because there's nothing on the fringe here. Now, when leopards cross on this soft stuff, you always see it. So that doesn't make any sense to me. All right, I just want to quickly double check and see if I can find exactly where he went. In the meantime, though, let's send you across to Lauren.
Tristan is correct. There are leopard tracks everywhere. Everywhere. Whether they're all still here, I don't know, but there was a lot of leopards on Juma last night. Juma's small. It's just a small square in the whole sector. But it was pumping with leopards, as they say. Male leopard tracks have crossed into Buffelshoek. So I think we're possibly going to leave this area now. It just shows you Tungana was on the dam cam, and it's likely, I mean, they might not be his, but it's very likely that he's crossed over. And Buffelshoek, we just don't get signal there anymore, I'm afraid. Some sections we do, but most of it we really don't. So, plan B. What is plan B, Dov? We're gonna go south. Or start to head in that direction. I still haven't had any updates on the hyenas, as in nothing from Paulie telling me they've seen cubs, no one reporting another Dane active. So where are they, ladies and gentlemen? I don't know. I know there was another kill in the dam cam last night. Thank you, Michael, for the video. I don't know why they want to kill in front of the dam cam. Maybe they know there's a camera and they're like, aha, we're going to show everyone we do hunt. But they're making hunts regularly in front of that camera, and it's so fantastic that we're able to pick it up, or the camera's able to pick it up, and we're able to view it. Hyena tracks everywhere on every single road, but we know that, and we don't track hyenas. If you were to track a hyena, you would track for maybe about 2 hours, zoom, 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 and you would end up right back where you started. They follow their nose, so their movements are very erratic and all over the place, because they're literally just following their nostrils to try and pick up on a scent. Whereas leopards, lions, they do take roads very often because they're on territorial patrol. Ooh, it's cold. It's an extremely cold one this morning. My fingers are like icicles, but hopefully that sun is going to warm us up soon, and we're going to send you guys over to JP, who's looking at tracks.
Because there's no light there, so you can't see, but you can actually.
I see. I'm on the one that's on the right.
This one.
Yeah, from.
Yeah.
From there.
Yeah, little smudges. We can.
Right.
My fingers is pushed.
Right.
Good morning and welcome back to Pridelands. We're just busy looking at some tracks at the moment. And right over here, we've got the track of a Franklin or spurfell that has come through here. The reason why they're called spur fells is because they've got a tiny little spur on the back of a foot, which they use as a defensive weapon. However, that does not mark in the track. Right over here, we can see where the hind foot toe is marking, while we've got 1, 2, 3 toes pointing forward. So what we often find with quite a few of the different ground bird species that we do find in the area, such as coron, is that they have no behind toe. And the reason is that they're purely ground dwelling compared to the spurfells, as well as guinea fowl and franklins, which tend to also perch at night up in trees. And this is where the hind toe becomes very important, as it will create balance. This is a track that's quite often confused with guinea fowl. However, guinea fowl is much larger in terms of shape. And we also have a few other little tracks right over here, which is not as easy to see. And this has been left behind by a scrub hare. And generally they appear like little smudges. So one of the best ways that we normally try and identify at scrub hare's tracks is that where the feet will mark on the ground, it will almost create like a 7 pattern if you connect these 4 different tracks from it. However, if you do often find it on very soft mud, you can actually see the impression of the feet, and then it's also quite often confused with a young jackal. But it's still best to always look for the 7 pattern. And then right over here, we've also got a number of other different tracks. This one over here looks like a Impala that came through here, although a little bit smudged. And then over here, we've also have wildebeest that came through here. Quite straight on the outsides, broad at the back, and very blunt in the front. It's most likely one of the bulls that marked over here when he walked, as that their feet is much more rounded or blunt in the front, as they quite often paw the soil when they are marking their territories. Just going to see what other tracks we can find. And then right over here, we've got a little squiggly line that has been created. And this is often being created by antlion larvae. When they are moving to the next hole, then they will leave a little mark on the top of the soil like this.
We've just stopped to admire some kudu. The females have walked off, but the youngster is still looking at us. Good morning. Look at your big ears. But they looked a little bit alarmed. Not alarmed, actually. I'm going to change that word to alert. So we've just stopped to listen and watch to see if there's any reason that they look very alert. And it could just be that they're listening to the sounds of the morning. I mean, they're always on high alert anyway. Or it could be that they hear lions roaring very, very far away. Their ears are far better than ours are. Aren't they beautiful? But we are just going to sit here for a moment and study them, because at the end of the day, they are the ones that will give the game away. Aren't they just beautiful? Sometimes nice to just sit and watch the antelopes. We've just stopped to look at the kudu to see if they're possibly alert or alarmed. They are walking away now. I think they were just listening to the sounds of the morning. That's when all the audio for the predators will sort of be at its peak. So that's what they're probably listening to, sounds that we can't even hear. Generally, during the day, the predators stop moving. Generally. Because they're primarily nocturnal. So that's, I think, what they're listening to. Deciding what road to take. There's lots of people working that side of the reserve, so we're going to take a bit of a different route. It's important to stop and look for signs in the birds and the antelopes, as well as keep your head down for tracks. You've got to be really hyper-aware, hypersensitive to what's going around you if you really want to find predators of the mammal kind in you. We've already had an aerial predator for the morning. Tingy really didn't hang around long on Juma. Oh, Tingus. We're taking the western edge road of quarantine. Our camp's over that side, but it just gives you a completely different view of quarantine, and a lot of our animals like to use this western edge. It takes you into the drainage, it takes you down Zoe's. It's really in the heart of Juma, if you like core area. I'm going to start making my way south. We'll start checking dams and see what else we can find down that way. Hopefully some hyenas. And we're going to send you across to Tristan, who's also on the move.
Hopefully Lauren will get lucky. It's just a mess of tracks up on this side, unfortunately. That sounds like Tavangumi into Manileti, Tortoise Pan into Arathusa, so it just leaves Tingana to try and find out of the boys. Shadulu I can't find crossing the boundary anywhere. Looks like she might still be on our side, unless she went south down kind of Zoe's road, so I'm heading back that direction now. Kara's tracks are still going north into towards Jacana, and Kalamba's tracks, I don't know if anyone's actually caught up with them. So, just try and solve one mystery at a time, and eventually we'll figure it out. But it seems like most of these leopards have gone off the property and away from where we can see them. Soon, Michael. I mean, I'd hope that she's starting to mate a lot more again. I don't know. Who knows? Because we don't see her mating with Mulawati. It makes it very difficult to estimate and to know what's going on. That's why I was like, it'll be nice if she mates with like a tortoise pan or Tavangumi or, one of these more relaxed individuals that allows us then a chance to actually see her mating and get a better idea. But I would imagine any day now we'll start to kind of see her maybe exhibiting signs that she's got cubs. I don't know. You know, we'll have to just wait and see. It's such a difficult question to answer, because it's like, how long is a piece of string, you know? Some females, like Tswalu, took almost a year to get her into a new set of cubs, whereas, you know, I would expect Kalamba, given that she was mating pretty shortly after she lost the cub that she had, to be back on it and kind of, you know, mating and doing her thing. And she moves around enough that she can bump into these different males and do what she needs to do. So yeah, I mean, I'm hoping sooner rather than later. I suspect that she's got plans. They often say that these leopards are planning for cubs as much as 9 months ahead of time, where they are actually marking territory. And could explain her behavior right now is that she's on a serious mission to just establish these heavy boundaries around her, and then from there she'll be able to kind of figure out exactly where to go and where to have her cubs. And I don't know, it's going to be interesting though as to how long that takes. Hello, little magpie shrike. You look like I feel cold. Sky Doogie? No, I don't think so. I don't think it's a case of searching for the cub. We know that Tortoise Pan has slowly started to come this way. I mean, you and I had him together, right where we are right now, going up northwards. So, you know, these inroads into Juma are, I think, just a slow expansion of territory, and maybe a response to Tavangumi and to all these other youngsters. He could also be getting pressure from Hosanna on the west. He could be getting pressure from Flat Rock in the south. So, you know, you never know quite what the dynamic is there. But yeah, they very much seem to be a situation where he's kind of starting to come in. Now, the interaction last night with Tswalu was an interesting one, because I know for a fact that she mated with them heavily. It was not just once or twice, it was multiple times, and multiple different mating sessions. And yet her response yesterday was one of fear. And I don't know if it's because Tswalu herself has not been spending a lot of time in this area lately. She's been kind of mostly on Arathusa and Simambili, and maybe she just was caught off guard by this big male that was all of a sudden there around her. That could be the one reason that she got sort of went up. The other is, with so many young males around, maybe it's just, you know, her kind of the reaction was just, let me just get up, and from up here I can see who's going and what, or who it is and what's happening. Because it was weird. Initially it was like that grumble that was like, you know, leopard fighting, and then there's a male leopard that's walked down here now. I didn't see these tracks on my way up here. I wonder if these are on top of ours. These are very fresh, very fresh. Just trying to see if they're on top, or if we drove over them, or if somebody drove over them. So yeah, I don't know. I think it's an interesting kind of time, unfortunately, for leopard in general. And I mean, yeah, plenty of leopards that I haven't seen that I would love to see. If we're talking here Sabi Sands wise, probably a lot of the boys in the south, so Hanyile, Nweti, Chila, although I have seen in Chila before, but it was at night, it wasn't a very great sighting. Then, like, if you come north from there, then you get Ngoboswan and those boys on Mala Mala. So that would be nice to see those guys. But yeah, pretty much any of the Kara's tracks are tiny. She's so small. Look at the size of this little female track. It's like almost like tracking a little caracal. Have a look here. Your track is just here on the right hand side in that little sun patch. but they are tiny, 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 tiny little feet. You see them? You look here. I'll just make a little loop around them. So this is her back foot over here, and then front foot there. But if I put my hand next to it, you can see how small this is. I mean, my index finger is longer than that track. She has tiny, tiny, tiny feet. In fact, what I'm going to show you quickly is just how little these feet are. Just give me 2 seconds, because I'm going to just use the male track as a way of showing you just how small her feet actually really are. Okay. This is the back foot of a male. I'm going to overlay. Oh, sorry, that's the front foot that I'm doing that over. Let's do it here, Beaks. No, come on. My hands are so freezing, I can't. But there we go. So her track is just, I'll do a little line for you so you can see. That's her track. The male's track I'll do on this side is like that. All right. And then the male track ends there, and hers is just here where my fingers are. So much, 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 much smaller foot than the boys. I don't know which male this is. I definitely didn't see these tracks when I drove here just now. So these tracks are on top of where we drove this morning, and I was looking carefully. So I should have seen these. So I'm going to just try and see if I can figure it out and see where these go, and maybe we can catch up with this male.
Hello, my name is Marnie Kell from the Greater Toronto area of Ontario, Canada. I am most excited to meet some of the guides that I feel I already know. And I'm going to very much enjoy riding along with them to see what they see most days while they're broadcasting these safaris to us, while also staying at the beautiful Simbambili Lodge. WildEarth has brought so much to my life, and I am thrilled and grateful to have this opportunity. Thank you.
Sign up to be an explorer today, and it could be you jetting off on an all-expenses-paid-for safari experience. WildEarth Explorers. It's in your nature.
There's a grounding earthiness to this place that we feel in our ancestors. It's a place where, believe it or not, we evolved as a human species, and anyone who's come to Africa will understand that. The connectivity that the continent has to the person and to people's souls is next level. I am thoroughly looking forward to taking you on your next adventure when we explore all the small and big things.
Catch up with the guides daily here on WildEarth.
Looks like it's a very difficult climb, because every time it tries to climb, the ground is breaking, so it slides down. But it's the only one. Look at that. That is the call of desperation with a cub. It's like, what are you doing, mommy? Oops. Oof.
Expect the unexpected here on WildEarth daily.
Hello, I'm Marna, your WildEarth Safari Guide from andBeyond Ngala. What I really like about connecting with WildEarth viewers is that we get to speak to viewers instantly, and I get to show you this beautiful property. If you want to ask me a question, register on the WildEarth website. Simply head over to the live safari page and you can submit your questions there. Join me or one of the other guides twice a day on WildEarth.
We did have some dwarf mongoose. I'm just looking at them. I'm seeing if they popped out anywhere else. I don't think they're going to be around the other side because that's in the shade. If they're going to pop out anywhere, it's going to be on the sun side. The sunny side of life. Come on, guys, we saw you. You were sunbathing. It's still early, though, and it's still cold. I'll give it a few more seconds, and if they don't reappear, we'll pop on over to Treehouse Dam. You see anything, Dove?
I don't.
It takes them a while to come out. It's not an immediate thing, so we've obviously just caught them checking the surroundings. They were sunbathing for a little bit, and now they've popped back inside. Okay. I'm not going to be sitting in the shade, that's for sure. Inside or in the sun. Dam. What have you got for us this morning? How's this, Sabi? Not very much, it appears. But sometimes it's worth just scanning all the way around. It's a large water body. That name sounded like Twitter. I'm not entirely sure if that's correct. There's a natural balance in the ecosystem between predator and prey. And within the Sabi sands, all the leopards are not going to diminish every single antelope and every other single animal out here. Every ecosystem sort of balances itself. Sometimes the predators might have the upper hand, sometimes the prey might have the upper hand. And we call this the evolutionary arms race between predator and prey. And it's a really interesting concept. It isn't about evolution really before those messages start. It is just about nothing in nature stays static, nothing stays stagnant, nothing will remain the same. There's always change, genetic changes, environmental changes, always, continuously. There's constantly adaptations to the environment. If you think about climate change, the climate is changing. On what spectrum, on what level you sort of want to go with that one really depends. But things are changing. Natural disasters are increasing in sort of frequency and intensity. It's always changing. So therefore, species have got to be able to adapt. If they don't adapt, then they won't survive. And within the evolutionary arms race, it's basically a struggle constantly. Predators need to capture and they need to eat and consume prey, but prey have to avoid being eaten in order to survive. So it's kind of, it's what we call that arms race between the two. Predators have changed over time to get possibly specialized weapons, or even just the digitated food structure of leopards and lions. That's an adaptation to walking silently. If you think of humans, we're plantigrade. We don't walk silently at all. We're not elegant on our feet, even the daintiest of ballerinas. Whereas the cats are completely silent. That in itself is a power, an advantage over the prey. And then, of course, some prey species, I'm being very general here, have evolved special defenses against predators. Odors, acid, highly sensitive ears. It can't always be that the predators have the sort of upper hand, if you like. And I always talk about that example with the polar bear because it's a really fascinating example that polar bears were once brown at one point in time. And naturally, they were eating the seals. So then, the seals then began to realize this brown bear that stands out against the ice is a threat. And the upper hand slowly shifted to the seals, and the bears were not being so successful. Then, over time, their coat changed to white. And it's obviously very, very thick to keep them warm. And once it changed to white, it shifted again. The polar bears had the upper hand because they were able to catch up on the seals, sneak up on them, and catch them. That's a really simple example, but everything's in a constant state of flux, and that's what we need to remember out here. So to sort of summarize that question, the high leopard density will absolutely not diminish the prey out here. There's a lot of leopards, but definitely not that many. So we've done our first dam of the morning. We're going to head to our second, and you guys are going to head over to Ngala.
All right, good morning everybody, and welcome to andBeyond Ngala. Looking nice and sunny this beautiful morning. So the plan for this afternoon, we're going to actually be heading central part of the reserve, and see if maybe we can find any sort of general animals in that direction. Morning once more. My name is Trico, and behind the camera I have Owen with me doing a fantastic job. All right, so from here we're going to head slightly north, and then we're going to cut sort of in a westerly direction and see what we can find there. I think it'll be quite cool. All right, so last night there were reports of a leopard in this section here where we're driving on this road. And some of my colleagues are actually down on foot looking in and around in this area. So I think what we'll do is we're gonna still hang around in this area and then eventually make our way sort of central. And if these guys find something, or if they do find a leopard in this area, we can easily come back in this area as well. But for now, let's try to see what we find. I know there's a couple of clearings that we're gonna drive past, and those type of clearings can attract animals like your zebras, your wildebeest, some impalas as well. So yeah, let's see what we can find. Good morning, Jade. I'm glad that you can join us. So Jade, I believe your question is, do antelopes travel in herds? Not all the time, yes and no. So you have things like your wildebeests, especially females and the youngsters. You know, most of the time you get them in these big groups moving around. But the bulls, you'll sometimes find them on their own. Impalas, for instance, they're herd animals. You find them in big herds. Usually, especially rutting season, you find males around these huge herds of females because that's the mating season. Some few tracks here. Can you be able to see from there? I just want to show the tracks here. Let's do this. Can you see them there? The buffalo. All right. I hope everybody can see that there. It's a very interesting track there, moving through here. Just want to quickly show you. All right. So if you look there, all right, quite a very big track that you can see here, and also it has hooves, so you can see there's a split in between there. All right, and this particular animal is heading in that direction. So there's an African buffalo, and it looks like it's only a bull walking through here. I don't see any more tracks that might show that there might be a few of them. Yeah, it looks like a bull. As you can see, there's a little bit of a sort of game path, and I think that's where he's heading. And also just behind me, there's a water hole. Could have been maybe that he's heading there to have a drink, because it's not too hot. I mean, I don't see them going there to go wallow or anything like that in this time of the day. But quite cool, eh? All right, we're still going to stick to our plan. So just behind us here, we're going to take this road and head down that way and see if we can find anything interesting in that direction. Yeah, going back to the last viewer's question, and you have also like your wildebeests, also, you know, your zebras will be in big herds. Couple of few birds flying around there. Yeah, they just went off really, really quick. So those were the double-banded sandgrouse, just flew off there. Welcome back once more. It is looking a little bit quieter. I was actually expecting some few sort of open plains animals, especially in this section where we're driving. As you can see, most of the trees are dry. Some of them have lost their leaves. It's actually quite nice and open. So I was thinking we might see some few open plains animals. But I know there's another big clearing where we're going, you know, south of us. Maybe there we might be lucky. And also just driving through that drainage line that we just went down there, it felt a little bit nice and warm. So the sides of those drainage lines have these walls and a tiny bit of trees along those drainage lines, which makes that area a little bit warm. So some animals might actually even lay down in that sand or in those drainage lines trying to get warm there. But I did have a look a little bit. Didn't see anything. Unfortunately for us, no signs of these cats. The tracks that are those males, or the male track comes down and that ends up cutting
east, and then it's the same track we found going out into Arethusa, so it must have been all tortoise pan last night when he was busy. Tracks with Shadulu also just milling in this area and up and down, and I think the two of them just chased each other around a bit, but I can't find where she went out. So I was just checking very, very carefully where I left them last night in case there was like a kill or something there. But theoretically, if there was a kill, he would have stayed, you know, she wouldn't have been able to keep that or to be able to kind of bully him off it. But I was just checking in the off chance because it seems like everything's just going back to the same places, all of them. Maybe it's not Shadulu's track, maybe it's Kalahari where she came in, I don't know. There's just too many leopard tracks over top of each other in this area to make 100% sure of who's who. It seems like I say, one of them has gone into Manuleti, one to Arethusa. Chilean we don't always. We just know from certain points. So I know that Tortoise Pan's track is this one that I was following now going south because it's exactly where I left him. So that must be him, and he's got a certain size, and he's got one pad actually that I was looking at this morning. Because today's the first day that I've actually really tracked Tortoise Pan. And I was having a look nicely at his one little paw. He's got like a little sharp point on it, on the back pad, that I haven't noticed in any of the other leopards. So that would be a nice kind of utilizing marker for his track. In Tingana's track, we know it's him because he was seen on the dam cam, and he comes from that track comes from the dam and then goes up. Then for Kalamba and Shadulu is got slightly bigger feet than Kalamba, but we know that Kalamba was here coming this direction, and Shadulu was behind me here coming north generally last night. So that's why if a track is there and a track is there, those should be those two. And then Kara, well, her foot is much, much smaller. And then the other track that comes in and goes into Manuleti for Tavangumi, that's just a process of elimination, given that we know this is Tingana, we know that that track going that way is Tortoise Pan. The other track that's in amongst all of this must be for him, given that Lauren saw him last in that area that the track comes from. So that's basically why we're saying who they are, but we don't have 100% certainty on some. The ones that are the male one that I was following now, I'm 100% certain is Tortoise Pan, which is based off the area. Anyway, while we kind of carry on, I'm going to just probably do another little last loop in case I find any sign for Shadulu. Let's send you across to Lauren at a waterhole.
Of pied kingfishers, male and female, circling around this dam. They've disappeared, but we do have a brown hooded who looks ridiculous. Because it's so fluffed up. It just looks like a little cotton wool ball. It's gold. I know the feels. The pied kingfishers are very active. They're hunting already. They're trying to catch fish. So they're probably warming up through flight alone. But this one, just wants to stay like a big cotton wool for a while. You have to love that. There was 6 leopards that we know of on the property last night, and we wake up this morning and no one can find any of them. Oh. Makes me chuckle. This is still a good little pan for birds. A black crake is somewhere here. We used to find lesser moorhens here, but I haven't seen one in a while. I've got the Egyptian geese. His back is back. I don't know if this is a male or the female yet. You're having a bath in that icy, icy cold water. My goodness, you're so brave. Imagine how cold it is in there. I don't even want to think about it. Now this is definitely the female, with only a single breastband, but there were two. I wonder if the other one was a male. They are monogamous. once this little one flies off, I'm actually going to go and put my hand in and see how cold this water body really is.
You're on your own.
Do you want to come with me, Dolly? Bath time. It's time to get ready for the day, isn't it? Making yourself look nice and pretty. Lucy, the Sabi Sands is a very big place, but the ones we commonly see in this area are the malachite. We get the malachite. We get the pygmy. We don't see the pygmy too often on drive, but we do get it here. The woodland in summer, it's a migrant. The brown-headed, which is here, present. I've seen the striped here. Again, not common. Giant and the pied. That's the ones we very commonly get here. I've never seen the half-collared, the grey-headed, or the mangrove. We get quite a lot of species, but the woodland is a migrant, so we only see that species in the summer. And hear it. Oh boy, do we hear that. I love kingfishers. I love the fact that they don't all eat fish as well. It's a very misleading name. Okay. I'm going to see how cold this water body really is, and we're going to send you guys over to Trico.
Welcome back again, everybody. As you can see right on your screens, we have an African elephant there, busy feeding on some nice juicy grass. And just by the look of it, if you look right on top of the head, or the shape of the head rather, sort of square, all right? Yeah, it's just gonna disappear now. So that is a female that is walking there, and there's the rest of the elephants right there following from behind. So these two are potentially had two youngsters. So the youngest one, which is the one that you see on the screens, and then the older one right at the back there, just following through. I don't see any more other elephants here. And maybe the rest might be in the other side, maybe in the thickets there. Or it could be just these elephants are just like all three like that. Nice family unit there. When as the day progresses, they might come across other elephants where, they'll meet up, feed along. But then eventually, as the day progresses as well, they tend to separate and everybody do their own thing. And I think they just disappeared into the thickets there. But that was quite nice, seeing that. All right, we're going to continue down on this road. Nice clearings here. And as I said earlier on, these areas that are nice and open might attract some plains animals. So yeah, let's have a look. Let's see if we can find anything interesting there. Oh, there's another elephant right in front of us. So it looks like there might be more elephants in this area. Also just enjoying a bit of bushes there that is feeding on. Now if you look at sort of like the colors or the color of this elephant, you notice it's quite grayish in color. So that what you see there, that could have been maybe this particular elephant, maybe yesterday sometime, was in a mud wallow, or even just picked up a bit of sand and just throw it on their backs to help cool themselves down. As it looks like it's enjoying feeding on that tree there. And also just having a look at the size of this elephant, you'll notice it's not quite a very big elephant though. And then also if you look on top of the dome, you'll notice there's a little bit of sort of dentation or dents. And if you look in and around the ears, there's quite a bit of sort of like notches or cuts, but not quite a lot. So with that type of information, or that information that I've just given, look at that shake now, just did a head shake there. Maybe something bothered it. Maybe some flies or anything like that. So this particular elephant might be not that old, but then also their size can fool you because genetics also play a very important role. I mean, they might look small in size, but you find that they're actually old. But with that information that I just given you earlier on, you can sort of predict or tell how old this elephant might be. Something maybe around 20 to 25 years old. So it's been in around here for quite a while. Look at it breaking all those branches, putting it in its mouth.
Suspended above Kenya's Masai Mara is a breathtaking lodge where unrivaled service goes hand in hand with extraordinary wildlife sightings. Ngala Mara offers a quiet place where guests have the opportunity to reconnect with the world again. Sign up to be a WildEarth Explorer before the end of July, and you and a friend could win a 3-night stay at this award-winning lodge. WildEarth Explorers, it's in your nature. The importance of forests cannot be underestimated. Over 1 billion people live in and around forests, depending on them for fuel, food, medicine, and building materials. The Wildlife and Environment Society of South Africa, WESA, is the national implementer for a program called LEAF. The LEAF program makes use of indigenous forests grown on school properties to teach pupils about biodiversity. This directly instills a sense of ownership of the natural surroundings and reconnects children with our biomes and heritage. WESA needs your help to bring nature back to schools. Ask your school to join the program through the link on their website. Together with WESA, you can help take this incredible program to schools across the country.
Okay, there's another big male coming in from our left here. Another big male, look at this. This is the one. Now you're going to see sparks fly, guys. Guys, it doesn't get better than this, eh? Yes, unbelievable. Africa, I love you, eh?
Expect the unexpected here on WildEarth daily.
Welcome back. So we're still sitting with our elephants here. And earlier on, this elephant was quite in some bushes, so it was a little bit difficult to see the rest of its body. But now you can see it's nice and out in the open now. And I think it's going to move into some thickets. And actually, earlier on when I was looking at it, I was thinking it was a bull. But as it came out of the open, I realized it's a female with her youngster. I think let's try to follow them for a little bit and see if we can get another look at them. Alright, looks like they've slowed down a little bit. Still feeding. Lucy, welcome. A very good question. I believe a question, how do their bodies differ? That is a very good question there. So first thing first, you know, sometimes you look at the size of them, all right? Bulls, normally they tend to be quite big in size, all right? And the females slightly smaller. And the shape of their heads, the bulls tend to have sort of like roundish shape, while the females from the top, it looks sort of like squarish in shape. So with those things, you can normally tell the difference, especially if you wanted to look at things like, you know, gender or anything like that. And where that elephant is feeding, there is a bird, a duck bird that is sitting there. It is flying about with a squarish tail there, quite dark in color. And that is a fork-tailed drongo. All right, so as these elephants move about on the ground, on the grass, they disturb a lot of insects. Even on the trees, as they brush through the trees, they disturb a lot of insects. And that's what that bird is after. But for now, I think we're gonna still sit here and enjoy this elephant. And I'm gonna send you over to Lauren. I think she has some birds as well.
Look who I found. Bateleur. And talking of the differences between male and females, that's what I've just been debating. There's really no way at this stage, there is no way that you can sex from observing. If we catch it, then we could probably tell, but we're not going to do that. The plumage undergoes so many changes. It's a really incredible change Bateleur's going. It's not instant. There's lots of molting that will take place. But you can see those really prominent, long, rigid primary feathers on the wing. They are the ones really that are going to give the clue to the sex of the bird. But at this stage, Matilda here is such a juvenile that she's still very much, or he or she is still very much in its immature phase, where the plumage is that browny colour. You can still see it's a Bateleur from the arrangement of the feathers, but whether it's male or female, I really don't know. I'd love to know. You're going to stay Matilda either way. It's so good to see her. Or him. I don't like saying it. We're very, very close to the nest. She likes sitting on this dead knobthorn, but the nest tree must be about 100 meters away. She's still in bat country, as I call it. This is where we see all the Bateleurs. Hello, darling. You look cold. Do you think we could get closer, Dobby? It's fairly habituated, this individual, in terms of cars. Some Bateleurs fly instantly the minute you turn on this engine. This might not work, but it might. I think we're going to try. But this little one is just used to seeing cars because we spent every single day there, didn't we? Completely habituated. That's better. Oh, you must have been cold last night. I can't even begin to imagine. Kelly, you're saying you wonder what birds look at all day. They sleep at nighttime. Bateleurs are diurnal. So nighttime is when they will take their rest. During the day, I mean, right now, Matilda here is trying to warm up. The sun's only just started to deliver a little bit warmth. You can see that it's all fluffed up, trapping that air, just like the brown-hooded kingfisher we just saw. Getting ready to take flight relatively soon, and all day they're looking for food. Bateleurs are incredible hunters. They're also predators, just like the martial eagle, but they have unique specializations. Going back to that sort of evolutionary arms race that I was referring to. Every species will have adaptations to sort of fit into its environment and allow it to thrive. If it can't, then it won't thrive, thus it won't survive. And with Bateleurs, that's why they do have incredibly long wings and a short tail, as we all know. Not the juveniles, but this is a unique specialization to allow them to get into the sort of prey or the carcass before the others come, before the vultures come, before the tonies come. It's a specialization. And this prey is very often stolen by the tony. They have a really unique relationship with the tony, and it ain't love. So they've got to get in there, get the carcass, or hunt the prey before the tony comes and takes it from them. And that sort of really unique wobbly flight allows them, it reduces drag, in terms of aerodynamics. So it allows the bird to get very, very close to the ground without touching the ground to get in there first. And Kelly, going back to your question, Bateleurs are actually known to spend anywhere between 8 to 9 hours every single day in the air looking for food. So that's what they're doing during the day, looking for food. Matilda here, scanning, warming up, looking. Can you see anything on the ground? But they can't compete with the vultures. So that's why they get in there first and get out. And Bateleurs are very well known when it comes to carcasses. The carcass is already dead. Eating the eyes first. Bateleurs are known for that. If you see the eyes gone, most likely it's been a Bateleur. They do hunt, but they will also sort of eat carrion. So that's what they're doing during the day, resting, flying, looking, soaring, loving life as a bird. Oh, it's so good to see her. Oh, always like it when I can catch up with Bateleur. So we're going to spend a little bit longer with her as you guys head over to JP.
Good morning and welcome back to Bushwalk. We're still looking at a number of different tracks this morning as the animal life is fairly quiet. And one of the tracks that we looked at earlier was that of a scrub hare. And here we find the track of another scrub hare. That's one of the feet, and then the other 3 feet is marked over here. So we often be able to identify this very untidy, unclear track by the 7 pattern that it forms. It continued right over here, and then here we can see where it stopped. And here we can also see how the hock is marked in the track. And there's a foot, and there's another foot over here, and over here, and there's a hind foot again with a hock marking over here. And then right over here we can see a small little pellet that has been left by the scrub hare. And if we look at these little pellets and we break them open, they're very fine, very loosely packed. And then we also find that they quite often re-eat their own dung. And therefore they produce 2 different types of dung pellets. One that is in the daytime, which is known as day feces, which will be re-eaten. This is obviously night feces, which has been discarded and is not re-eaten. The reason why they re-eat their dung is because their digestive system is fairly poor and they still need to reabsorb most of the nutrients and minerals as well as vitamins that was inside the food. And that's why they undergo a second digestion. We also see this behavior with a number of other species. Quite often rodents will do so as well. We also find that a large number of other animals will also eat one another's dung. 2 of those are actually species of tortoise that we find in this area, which will quite often feed on hyena feces, as if they need calcium to assist for the development of shells for their eggs, as well as for calcium for the bones as well. We also find quite often that warthog, as well as elephant and zebra, will eat the feces or dung from the parents. And the reason why they do that is that they can actually inoculate the gut with the necessary bacteria, which will assist with the fermentation of the food. As no animal can really digest plant material, and they're actually dependent on the bacteria in the stomach to be able to digest that food.
I'm sitting here with Bateleur, my favorite Bateleur in the world. It's a juvenile. She's warming up. She's starting to stretch her wings a little bit, shaking those tail feathers. There we go. Now she's itching, scratching, preening, cleaning. She's going to take to the skies soon. But I absolutely adore this bird, and sometimes just watching her makes my heart happy. So that's exactly what we're going to do. Sit here, watch our juvenile Bateleur, and listen to all the sounds around us. Isn't it just beautiful? I'm I'm sure in a few minutes it's going to take to the skies.
So welcome back, everybody. So as we were driving along this riverbed, we just came across these beautiful birds that you can see right in front of you. You'll notice if you look on their backs, you'll notice quite a lot of green color on them. And under their wings, they have sort of like this brownish color. And around their throat, they have this sort of yellowish color. And these are little bee eaters flying about. And you'll notice they don't sit still for quite too long. They'll be like sitting and then they'll move around. Usually they'll fly back into the same position that they've just flew away from. So they're doing that because there's a lot of flies, or aerial flies, that they are catching in this riverbed here. Even though they're called bee eaters, it's not only bees that they feed on. You know, they actually even feed on things like wasps, and some other flying insects. So these tiny birds that we're looking at here, during your non-breeding season, they're quite nomadic. And they're not gregarious, so they'll normally be in pairs or small family groups. And pairs remain together for like all year round. And actually one of my favorite birds out here to look at. But if you look high up on a tree there, you'll notice there are some vervet monkeys sitting high up there. And I mean, early this morning, it was quite cold. So it actually makes sense that these vervet monkeys are really high up there, basking in the sun there. But in also high position like that, you know, give them sort of like a greater view of what's going on around. Especially earlier I was talking about, you know, things like a leopard. Leopards will try to hunt these particular animals, but from really high up where they're sitting, they can be able to, you know, see what's going on around. So if a leopard comes towards to this area, they will be able to see them from a long distance, and they'll be able to get away quickly. Peter, welcome. I'm glad that you can join us. I believe your question is, do monkeys sleep in trees or do they have dens? A very good question, Peter. They'll sleep up trees, like these monkeys that we're looking at in this area of the riverbed, actually on the banks, because there's so much water in this riverbed. The trees around here tend to be very, very tall. And those are areas where they'll go and have a sleep. It looks like the other one is actually, you know, resting its head on the other one. But also being close together like that and being touchy, you know, it instills that, you know, that social bond. And actually right above their heads, where they're sitting, there's a bird sitting there. So there's a branch right above the one that is on the right-hand side. Tiny little branch that goes left. You'll see there's a bird there, sitting there. You can hear it call now. Let's listen. Did you hear that? I don't know if everybody can hear that, but you can see that bird has a bright red beak. You can see it's moving its head now. Those are red-billed oxpeckers there. I mean, earlier on I heard them call, so I was thinking maybe there might be some, mammals in and around this area. Sometimes you'll find them on animals like buffalo, some impalas as well, your wildebeest, even zebra. And they're picking off or feeding on chicks. But right now it looks like it's sitting high up, and also it could be that they're getting, a little warm, because they also can get cold before they head out looking for animals so that they can pick off some insects from them. There's another bed right in front of us there in a riverbed. Busy grooming itself there. And you will notice the color of the legs, they're sort of orangish in color. And even the tip of the beak just disappeared into a hole there. Oh, there it is coming out. And you can see the color of the beak, quite orange as well. So this is a Natal spearfowl. And you can see it was actually picking something on the ground, which looked like a bit of a dung there. So sometimes these sort of general game or general areas, animals like your wildebeest, your zebra and your buffalo, immediately when they defecate, some insects will quickly be in and around that dung. And these particular birds, that's what they feed on, which is why we saw it picking through that dung and then realized there's nothing there and then moved off. But then also in and around this riverbed, there must be some few insects, as we can see with those flying little bee eaters. So this bird as well looks like it's picking off some insects in and around here. Aaron, a very good question. I believe your question is, if monkeys sleep on trees, how do they keep out of reach of leopards? A really good question, Aaron. But remember, just think about it, just imagine a leopard, walking maybe behind us, maybe another 100, 200 meters behind us from where these monkeys are sitting. They'll see them maybe way long before even maybe the leopard could have managed to see them. And then they'll be able to, to get away. But there are certain times where, the leopards do get the upper hand. They see them before and they climb the trees and try to hunt them. So it's sort of like that, 50-50 type of thing. But also, if these monkeys, they're, really high up in the trees, and then this leopard comes, they'll try to be in an area where the branches are a little bit thinner. Areas where, the branches can't support the weight of the leopard. Those are the areas where they will go. But then also I realized, once, these monkeys, even baboons do it, once they see danger, like your leopards and anything like that, the first thing they do it's almost like they expose themselves. You know, they start to alarm call, you know. So basically letting the leopard know that, okay, we can already see you. You know, you won't catch us. But then sometimes they do get caught, even though they do see the leopard first. But this particular monkeys are quite smart. Really, really smart. But yeah, to answer your question, I mean, it's sort of a 50-50 thing. They sometimes get caught and sometimes get away. But I think we're going to continue down this riverbed and, yeah, try to look for anything interesting along that way.
My name is Trishala and I am a naturalist and safari guide here in Djuma Game Reserve in the Sabi Sands in South Africa. I think that the information that we provide, and most importantly the questions that you ask, give both you and I a really good idea of what's going on. My friend Fernando here, he's a flat-necked chameleon and I love them. They're just these gems that you manage to find in the bush.
Catch up with the guides daily here on WildEarth.
I've seen something I've never seen here before. Look at these cubs. One is crossing the river. It's being washed away, unfortunately, but I'm sure the mother is going to save her. Look at that. How beautiful. Look at that. One crossing, two to go. How cool is this?
Expect the unexpected here on WildEarth daily.
My name is Lauren and I'm currently working in Juma Private Game Reserve here in South Africa. I love answering your questions during the live safaris. It's my favorite part. It feels like you're on the vehicle with me and I'm able to teach you exactly what you want to know. If you want to ask a question on WildEarth, then you need to register on our website. Once registered, you must go to the live safari page and ask your question below the live feed.
Sorry everyone, I'm trying to get into a sighting. Did you catch that last message? Herbie, confirm I should be around Charles Kaya.
North of Charles Kaya. North of Nkova. North of Ngala Crossing. Come towards Ngala Crossing. I'll guide you in.
Copy. Sorry everyone, we're on. Trying to navigate into a sighting on Chitwa. Herbie's guiding me in, so...
Your audio keep coming north.
Copy, copy.
One for the Ingwe, maybe.
Eastern Channel is really quite something, everyone. It's not easy for us to communicate on the Eastern Channel. But I'm going to try and get into this sighting for you all. And you guys are going to head over to Tristan.
Well, good luck, Lauren. I wish you all the luck in the world because it's been a tough morning from a tracking point of view. Lots and lots and lots of tracks for leopards all over the place. I'm just checking now the boundary again because I picked up another set of male tracks coming, but they were, last I had them, they were about 40 meters from the boundary. So they must have crossed behind me here somewhere. There's impalas that have been milling around, so I just wanted to check, and they look all a little jumpy this morning. Apparently that there is a loud hissing on the audio. I'm so sorry, I don't know. BK, is it hissing on your side? No. Everything all right? BK says everything is all right, Jared. Must be your side. Alrighty. Hello, little impalas. There's the old unicorn impala. I saw him the other day, not far from here. You can see he's got the one horn broken off. It's probably in a territorial fight during this rut recently. He would have popped that horn off. Unfortunately for him, it will not grow again. So he will stay one-horned wonder from now on. Quite cool with all the signs in the background. So this is the kind of main roads, Triple M, Gari Main Junction, and you can see the signs going in all directions as to the various camps and lodges. It's almost like the impalas are deciding where they shall go. Where shall we go today? Juma, Arathusa, Chitwa, Cheetah Plains, onward to Mala Mala and Londolozi. Let's see what they choose. I suspect that they are going to turn left and walk onto the fire break. That's what my gut tells me. But I don't know if that is going to... No, we're going to turn right. Are we? Yes, certainly looks like we're going right. We're going down a road called Jay's Link if they turn right. And that goes into Arathusa. Surprised, I thought they would have gone onto the fire break. It's not exactly hot yet this morning. It's still been fairly chilly. So I thought they might give it a go to just go and sit on the fire break, a little bit more open, far less likely to be eaten on the fire break than if they go right onto the thickets. Although they're bending round again. Magdalene, no. When the horn breaks, the animal shouldn't die. That's just a kind of break that's normally, with a horn break, it's normally kind of at the skull. And that's because the horn fuses to the skull. So it's like a bony deposit, and when it breaks off, it just kind of leaves a little wound there for a bit, and that then closes over. And you can see that that male there with his broken horn is absolutely fine. There's no evidence of blood or anything like that coming down. So it's just a clean little break that happens, and they survive pretty well. They don't have to worry too much about anything. Alright, let's carry on and leave our impalas to themselves. They've chosen Arathusa, and so we shall choose not to look at them anymore. I am thinking that all of our leopards that we have had tracks for have all gone. It's the problem when you track right up near a boundary. So the reality is that that's what's going to happen. You guys didn't go the right way. We're supposed to go left. Yeah, I mean, tracks are an interesting thing, and by no means are we as good as it gets, that's for sure. There's many other trackers out there that are far, 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 far better than what we are. But it's an interesting thing, and the more you do it, the better you get. And it becomes a bit of an addiction, and it becomes a thing that you want to constantly try and test yourself. And so this morning has been probably quite a tough test of tracking because you've got so many distractions through the tracking process. So it's not like you're getting onto tracks, you know, like let's say Shadulu 2 mornings ago, where it was tracks for Shadulu, follow those tracks, find her. Whereas, you know, today it's been like Tingana track, Kalamba track, Kara track, Tortspan track, Shadulu track. It's just like Tabungumi, it's just like this constant assault of new tracks, and then they mix together and it becomes quite difficult to see where everybody goes. And particularly once you start going into the blocks, when they're on the road, it's pretty simple, but once they cut into these blocks, then it becomes really tricky to be able to actually follow where they've gone. So yeah, it's a fun exercise, and like I say, we don't always get it right, but it's interesting how we kind of, once you do it a few times and you start to understand the basics behind it and the principles behind it, you can actually get some semblance of success, which is always nice. So enjoy it, and I'm glad that you guys at home enjoy sometimes the process. Like I say, I know it can be frustrating at times, and I know it's difficult to be patient when we're constantly kind of staring down at the ground and trying to kind of keep going on them. But it does pay off. I think if everybody out here tracked everything that they saw, we'd probably have a lot more sightings than we do. A lot of the time, guys are quite quick to respond on the radio rather than follow the tracks that they have, which, you know, is understandable sometimes. Anyway, we got a hiding from our tracks today, though. They all went into places we can't go, which is delightful. My favorite type of tracking. Anyway, I'm going to bumble along and just see what else I can find. Maybe we get some Ellie's now that it's warming up a bit. In the meantime, though, let's send you across to JP, who's at a waterhole.
Good morning and welcome back to Bushwalk. We just found a little cocoon where a pupa of an African silk moth went in, and then it spins this little cocoon around itself to protect itself against the coldest part of a year. And eventually, close by to summer, it will then come out as an adult moth. We also find quite often when we do find African silk moth caterpillars, they've got a large amount of hairs which can be used to irritate anything that touches them. So that's a way that they protect themselves. Quite often these hairs do get into the silk, which is one of the reasons why that's never been used commercially. So one of the interesting cultural uses for these cocoons from a number of different moths is often to take them once they've pupated and the edge has been where the moths has come out, or they'll cut open the edges and then they'll throw tiny little stones inside there, and then these will be sewn onto a piece of material and use as ankle brackets where they can use during dancing ceremonies to produce a sound. There's a number of other different moth species which we also quite often find in this area, of which one of my favorite is actually the Mopani moth, which feeds on both Mopani as well as a number of other plant species. It's also one of the moth species which is commercially quite often, or not commercially used, but harvested by a number of people and then are sold and dried. And these are then eaten in the times of drought or food shortage. We also find another moth species which we often get in this area, which associates with both marula trees as well as with tambutis, which is known as a lunar moth, which is quite a large green moth with incredibly long-tailed streamers. Some of the other moth species which we also get associating with the tambutis is a small little grey moth, which will often lay its eggs in the seeds, and once the seeds start dropping to the ground, these ground seeds will start hopping as the caterpillar is contracting and expanding inside these little seeds. We're going to move on and go and see what else we can go and find.
Welcome back, everybody, and welcome to your live safari. So yeah, we decided to drive in this Timbawati riverbed heading in a westerly direction. It's actually nice and warm along this riverbed here. And hoping to find something exciting along this riverbed. And also these trees that I mentioned earlier on. And if you've just joined us, these trees along the edge here, as you can see, they're quite nice and tall. So some other things that we might, or things that might get attracted by this area is certain owl species as well. Like your Farouk's eagle owls along this riverbed. It'd be quite nice to see one along in this area. Just keep an eye out and see if maybe we can find any here. And I don't know if you can see right in front of your screens, you'll notice there's actually quite a bit of tracks along this riverbed here. And a lot of dung from elephants coming down here to dig for water. So a lot of animals really do use this area quite often, either crossing up and down or coming down to take an advantage of the diggings that the elephants have done to try come and have a drink here.
There you go, the appearance of the spots. Nicely done there, Dwarf. We have Mr. Maribs, who's snoozing. It's funny, he popped his head up because obviously a vehicle arrived. He has a little look and his eyelids are so heavy. You know that feeling when you literally cannot stop your eyelids falling, drooping. You're trying to watch a movie and, well, it's just impossible. Dobby's giving me the eyes here. I'm not very good at watching movies, everyone. I fall asleep very soon into the movie. I mean, I tried to pretend that I've been awake, but no, I haven't. He is really sleepy. Sleepy cat. And this is why we struggle to find leopards. We haven't really got the tracks. I mean, this area on Chitwa is fairly open, I would say. And yet, I mean, the grass is a tad long, but it's fairly open. And these leopards just need to nestle themselves into the thicket, and lo and behold, they disappear. Maribs, you're quite the Chitwa cat now. I'm very glad for that. I mean, you're welcome on Juma. But if he was still very much on Torchwood, that's a little bit tricky. Signal-wise. I'm very happy he's on Chitwa. I love Chitwa. Yesterday was hilarious. He caught a tree squirrel, which obviously was not hilarious for the tree squirrel, but immediately after he started stalking the guinea fowl. And he was trying to walk with them as if, hey guys, we're just friends, I just want to hang out with you. But the minute you look the other way, I'm going to eat you. He's such a funny cat. And I know we shouldn't anthropomorphize, but this young boy is really just so curious about everything. This is his learning phase. Even the puff adder incident, there was a lot of emotion attached to that, but he probably needed that lesson. He now knows the sort of pain that snakes can cause. He now knows not to just take it so light. He's learned a lesson, a valuable lesson out here. The next time you see Maribs come across a snake, if we ever do, it'll be an entirely different reaction. There's been a behavioral lesson there, which is extremely valuable to him. He's just a young boy. Mama's not here all the time. You can't cling to Mama. Although he probably would if he could. Susie, you're seeing all that mischief has worn him out completely. He's probably been active all night, and now it's such a lovely time to sleep. The sun is delivering warm, but it's not too hot. He's found himself the most perfect patch of grass. I imagine he'll go into quite a deep sleep. I can see the rise and fall of his ribcage already. He's fallen asleep. I think he's just slowly crept into everybody's hearts. We all want to spend time with Mareebs now. So we didn't quite get the juke. And he's still not being found. I think he's somewhere in Bufosuk. But at least we've got Mareebs, the young prince.
I bet you're okay. Yeah, okay, I've got WildEarth. Okay, cool. Thank you. I see where they are.
Sorry, I was live. Just make your way towards us and you'll see him. Most likely he'll wake up soon if there's another vehicle arriving. I hope he reunites with Tandy today. I really love seeing the two of them together. Okay, we're going to sit here with sleepy Mr. Mareebs a little bit longer, and we're going to send you guys over to JP at the waterhole.
Good morning and welcome back to Bushwalk. We just got to Leopard Dam and we found a resident pair of Egyptian geese that we've often found in this area. In the past we have talked about breeding in Egyptian geese, and we've mentioned that they're monogamous breeders, and that we also find that they will often lay their eggs in the nest the ground with barely minimal material. We've also sometimes mentioned that they might use a hammerkorp nest or the nest of another bird. And what we did find this morning is that there's a number of young little geese that's very close by to the adults at the moment. They're all scattered around all over the place. At the moment we can see 3 of these little fluffy little feathered individuals walking around. You'll be able to notice them. Those are the ones that are blackish and grey white colours, unlike the adults, which has got the brown and beige colours. So when these little guys hatched, they most likely were encouraged by the female to jump from wherever the nest was down towards the ground. And because they're so small and so light, they just simply float down to the ground. So she must have possibly sat on that nest for almost over a month, because generally the incubation period for Egyptian geese for the eggs is roughly 28 days. We also find that they can lay anywhere between 1 and up to as many as 22 eggs in a nest. However, very few of the young will actually make it to adulthood. And I've even seen a number of different predators, including gabba goshawks over the years, as well as baboons and vervet monkeys grabbing these little geese when they're on land, as if they've got very little protection when they're on land. We often see with them that they will, say, jump from the nest, but they'll directly follow the parents towards water. And the reason why they can do that is because they're born and are hatched at an advanced stage. And we generally refer to these young as precocial young compared to altricial young, as we would have with most bird species such as the passerines, where the young is born without feathers and is dependent on the parents for a very long period of time. We're going to sit and watch them and see what they get up to. But in the meanwhile, we're going to hand you back to Lauren, who's busy viewing a leopard.
Oh, see, Mareebs heard my director Jared say Egyptian geese. You see that, Jared? He's saying where? No more Reeves. They're with JP in Pridelands. Oh. No. He's woken up now because there's vehicles here, but look at those heavy, heavy eyelids. I know that feeling so well. Unfortunately, there's already quite a few vehicles on standby this morning. Reeves is the only leopard being found in the area. So this will be our last little segment with them, and then we will leave to make space for others. Javan Gumi the other night was standby 7. My goodness. That's why Juma's the best. It's very quiet. You can spend lots of time with them. But it's promised for the afternoon. I think he'll still be on Chitwell. Where? Is a good question. I know that Tristan's desperate to spend some time with them. Reeves, you've got better eyelashes than me. And your poop is still sitting in our garage. Yes, it is. So delightful. We're still waiting on the vials. Hopefully Panthera are going to send them soon. Really soon. I thought it would maybe deter the monkeys, but it didn't. That's why we kept it in the garage. Monkeys remain undeterred. You can see he's just warming up. Animals need sunshine too. Just not in the real sort of midday heat. But it's important for them to get their vitamin D too. Now we're going to leave to make space for others, but it was really, really nice to catch up with Mr. Reeves.
Hi, I'm Dee from the south coast of England. Today I was told I have won the most amazing prize to go to Maritaba. Oh, I can't believe it. I became hooked on WildEarth last year when I was trying to escape COVID, and animals are my thing. I just love them and I love what WildEarth does. So that's why I wanted to become an explorer. Just so looking forward to going out to Maritaba. Want to do a walking safari. Thank you so much, WildEarth.
WildEarth Explorers. It's in your nature. As one of the industry's best and Fagasa Indoors training institutes, NJ Moorfield Guide College produces professional guides of exceptional caliber and gives students from around the world an incredible experience. NJ Moore offers courses to suit all types of interests. The full-length career course results in a Fagasa accredited qualification and the option of a 6-month internship at one of Moore Family Collection's luxury safari lodges. Shorter courses are a great introduction for those considering a career in field guiding or even a life-enriching experience in your gap year. With spaces still available in July, don't miss out on this fantastic opportunity to live your African dream.
You are cheeky. That was a brave decision. Amber Eyes is... Oh. That is so magic. That was absolutely wonderful. Amber Eyes just gave that cub an enormous hug.
Expect the unexpected here on WildEarth.
Well, finally we've contributed a heartbeat to the show this morning, and not just footprints of things. We're with our resident Djuma herd of wildebeest who have travelled a bit today, and not in their normal area. They're normally around Quarantine or Treehouse Dam, but today they're kind of extending their range slightly to the westward, kind of close to our big torchwood tree. I don't know what they're doing up here. Maybe finding a bit of food to eat. Dangerous place for them to be, though. This is the kind of place where the lions will have an absolute field day with them if they find them. But they can breathe easy because they will not be seeing lions for a few days, I don't think. It sounds like the Talamatis have killed a buffalo, which means it's going to snow. No wonder it's so cold this morning. But it sounds like on Torchwood, I don't know if we'll get signal there. We'll try this afternoon to see, but the Pride has brought down a bull buffalo apparently during the course of the early hours of this morning. So hopefully they're going to be on that for a little bit, which will give these wildebeest a bit of respite. Although they haven't had it too hard lately. The Talamatis haven't chased them that much. Not like in the summer months when they were being chased all over the place. So, Avril, you're asking what makes a wildebeest an antelope? Well, what doesn't make it an antelope is probably a better question. But it has a split hoof, and it is a ruminating individual. So, pretty much everything that antelope are is kind of physiologically why they're an antelope. Like I say, cloven hoof or split hoof and ruminating animals is generally what your ungulates are made out of, or made up of. And ungulates are your antelope species. And that's why it's classed in that particular grouping. It's nice to see this herd doing so well, though. It's definitely grown since summer, so it must be two groups that have come together. But they've done all right. There's 2 youngsters that have survived. Considering the assaults, I assume it's the same herd that the Talamatis went after so much during the summer months, during the cyclone, and managed to grab those 3 in one day. They've done very well since then. I think they've wisened up a little bit to the presence of the Talamati Pride, and they are, kind of trying their very best to stay alive. I suspect they've been fortunate in that the Talamatis have been so kind of up and down and all over the place that they haven't spent long periods of time here. And Quarantine itself, at the moment, the grass is so short there, very difficult for lions to move around without being seen. And you combine that with the hundreds of impalas that spend the night on there as well, and it's a nice little defensive system that the wildebeest have. So they can kind of feed in the day in this kind of place, and then they can go at night onto Quarantine, nice and open, sit right in the middle of it, let all the impalas be on the fringes, and kind of alarm call when they see something that allows these guys to then get away. So male's going to have his hands full, though, when all these little ones start being born and running around all over the place. Male wildebeest typically don't do much with the young ones, but there's a lot of flurry of activity which they don't always enjoy. It's going to be nice, though, if they do stick around until summer, until December. There should be a very, very, very good chance of getting some of them giving birth, which will be very cool. It's an amazing thing to watch an animal give birth, and I find the wildebeest are probably the easiest ones out here because they're so localized to Quarantine, and if you just spend morning and afternoon with them, eventually you start to see little hooves sticking out. Sometimes the birth can be very, very fast, so like 15 minutes, and the female is already kind of pushing out the little baby. Others are a lot more complicated and take a lot longer. If it's like first-time mothers, it can often be as long as 4 or 5 hours, which is obviously a very long time. But most of them are pretty quick. Anyway, we'll probably leave our little wildebeest herd, let them carry on with their day. In the meantime, though, let's send you across to Pridelands with some hunting birds.
Good morning and welcome back to Bushwalk. We're just busy watching a number of different kingfishers over here. One was a brown hooded kingfisher and the other a pied kingfisher, the all black and white kingfisher that we have on the screen at the moment. And it was just hovering above the water, and when it grabbed a fish, we're not sure if it's a fish or what it is. It looks a little bit odd. We just want to try and have a little bit of a better look. Actually might be a frog that it picked off from the surface of the water. And what it's busy doing is it's beating it senseless before it's going to swallow it. In general, we see that they will do this several times to a fish as well, so that they can incapacitate it and then swallow it head first to prevent that the spines will then damage the intestines. Let's just watch and see what he gets up to. I've quite often seen them that they've taken incredibly large fish which they battle to actually incapacitate and kill. And eventually they will either lose it or give up. And in some cases I've even seen that the fish has been taken away by larger kingfishers, such as the giant kingfisher that might steal it from them. He's unfortunately flown off and he went to go and purchase somewhere else to go and consume his meal. We're going to move on and see what else we can go and find. Good morning, leopard lover. You 100% correct. And the kookaburra is the largest of the kingfisher species. And obviously we do find them in Australia. So one of the interesting facts that I can also share with you is that Africa and South Africa is home to one of the largest water-associated kingfishers, as a kookaburra is a dryland kingfisher. And that is the giant kingfisher. So some of the other kingfisher species that we get around this pool was the brown-hooded kingfisher that we mentioned earlier. It unfortunately flown off at the time that the pied kingfisher made its little kill. So the brown-hooded kingfisher in general is also considered as an insect-eating or a dryland kingfisher. However, the pair that we often find at the dam over here will often pick insects off the surface of the water. However, I've never seen them actually catching fish like that the pied kingfisher would do. Well, meanwhile, we're going to head back and see what Lauren is up to, and we're going to continue our walk.
Yesterday, but nothing. Was it you guys over there in front of us? No, was it another vehicle? Oh, we're live, everyone. I'm sorry. Yes, have a lovely morning. See you later. Sorry, everyone. We're talking to another vehicle there. We've been trying to catch this giraffe for quite a while now, but really it's not the best views. I think I'm going to try and go forward. There's a gap here, Dov, and if it doesn't work, I think we might get a gap. Yep. That's a little bit better. There's lots of giraffes around right now. Look at your eyelashes. My goodness, they're even better than Marie's. We had to leave, unfortunately. I don't think everyone's been that lucky on the leopard front this morning, which puts pressure on the one leopard sighting that there actually is. But that's okay. We got to see him, catch up with him. We know where he is. This must just be delicious. I love just watching a giraffe eat. There's something really relaxing about it, especially when they're as relaxed as this one. They don't always love being around vehicles.
There's actually zebra here too. I'm not sure if we can give you a visual, but giraffes and zebra, they like to coexist together. They love to just... Giraffes are great lighthouses of the bush, really. They will give away if a predator's in the area. They'll react differently to different predators, absolutely. But they don't just stand and ignore the fact that there's a predator nearby, especially lions. They don't like it if leopards are around. So all the other herbivores can naturally pay attention to all the signals that the giraffes are giving off. Disappear from us, aren't you? Just like that, into little Gary. I'm not entirely sure we'll get another view. Oh wait, there's 3. How's that, Davy? Oh, there's lots of you guys. Giraffes don't really have a social structure, but they do enjoy being around their own kind. They do enjoy being around other giraffes. It's most likely, I would imagine, from a safety point of view. Especially the females. The females will stick with other females, especially if they've got young, little creche herds. I mean, giraffes can be formidable when they want to be. That kick from a giraffe. If they really kick a predator, it could be completely fatal. The power behind those legs. Natasha, I agree, but it's not just the lips and it's not just the eyelashes. Look at the legs. Catwalk material right there, Natasha. I agree. I'm jealous. I'm a short human with short legs. I'm not jealous of you giraffes. You have all the features we want to have. Long leg, long eyelashes, beautiful lips. Maybe not the ossicones. Definitely not jealous of the ossicones, but still, you suit them. Danny, yes, they are. But when a giraffe is born, they're actually made from cartilage, which is a really interesting material, cartilage. It's much lighter, it's extremely flexible, and it's sort of designed this way so that the ossicones lie flat against the calf's head during the birthing process. Now you can imagine giving birth to a young calf is not easy for a mother, and there's a lot of danger involved from both sides, especially the height at which the calf has to drop. Normally the mother squats to reduce that sort of distance from the ground, but it's still dangerous. Imagine the ossicones as well. That could really cause a lot of danger to the mother. So they lie flat on the head, and then when the calf drops, they eventually come up, sort of erect, upright, and over time they'll ossify, and what that means is the cartilage will eventually turn into bone. So once they're an adult, it's 100% bone. They don't move. They're completely attached to the skull, but they start off as being made from cartilage for that exact reason. They're soft, malleable, flexible, so that they don't hurt the mother during the birthing process. I'm just trying to see if we can get any more views, but I'm not entirely sure. They're on little Gowrie. We're doing the old lurking technique.
I mean, I think this will be all we'll be able to give you for now. The last views. I think this giraffe's having a scratch. What are you scratching? Okay, we're gonna slowly start to bumble back into Juma and see what else we can find.
Welcome back, everybody, and welcome to your live safari. So yeah, I was still basically driving around. As you can see in this area, it's nice and open here. And I was hoping that maybe we could find some which quite often they actually do like to feed on these type of trees here. But for now, it looks very, very quiet. And also, I don't know if everybody can feel that. It's actually windy. So some of the animals, they don't like being out in the wind. Some animals will go into some thickets, staying away from the wind. All right, let's try to see. There's another clearing up ahead here. Oh, there's some pretty birds right in front of us there. There you go. You can see with that bright red faces they have. And all brown in color. So those are Swanson's spearfowls there. As you can probably hear, it's quite windy, so you have these tiny little seeds from the grass falling down that will be feeding on. And also insects is something that they will be looking to feed on as well.
We are watching a little dove meandering down the road. It's a little emerald spotted wood dove. I like these little guys. Love watching them walking around. It's little short legs that they try and kind of keep up and kind of get themselves all twisted trying to turn. I'm trying to catch up with it. It's one of the most chilled little doves. I got it. At one point we had it about 2 meters from the car. And it was actually not too worried about us. Normally they fly off when you start the car, but this little guy is obviously finding food on the road and it's quite happy just to bumble along with us as we drive. It's got the beautiful little iridescent emerald spots, as the name suggests. Now we don't only get emerald spotted wood doves in South Africa, we also get a thing called a blue spotted wood dove, which is a very, very pretty little bird. And instead of those emerald markings, it's got these sort of sapphire markings on its wings. Now, here in South Africa, they're quite rare. The only place really to see them is to the north of us in a place called Louis-Trichardt. Well, not the only place, but it's one of the better places to go and find them. It's kind of northern part of the country. But if you go up north into, like, the Congo, for example, this bird is just everywhere. The blue-spotted wood doves are like the emerald-spotted wood doves here. They're just all over the show, and you find them quite easily. It's always amazing how certain things, it's all relative really. A bird can be rare in one spot and completely common in another. You can see just when the light catches that wing, how it shines back at us. Those little iridescent feathers. Very pretty for an otherwise quite drab bird. A lot of doves don't have hugely bright colours. These little emerald spotted wood doves have a touch of bling on the wing that makes them stand out, I suppose. I just love how they bob around with their little heads and their little feet and look for what they're trying to eat. Seem to be very busy little things. This looks like me yesterday I dropped one of my memory cards for my camera yesterday morning on drive. And it looks like me, the way that it's walking, kind of bobbing around, trying to see if it can spot something. The way that I was yesterday after drive, trying to find it. We eventually did find it. By some miracle, lying in the grass next to the road. It was a very random spot from the driver's vehicle, or driver's side, to see a little glint of a memory card in the grass. And so I was quite excited that I found it. Particular memory cards we're talking about are not cheap memory cards for camera. So it would have been very upsetting to have lost one of those. I can't believe how chill this dove is. They never sit like this. You know, normally when we try to put these little emerald spotted wood doves on camera, they kind of do this for a little bit and then they fly away. This little guy's been on the road now for a solid 4 or 5 minutes with us kind of in tow, and we start and move up with it a little bit, and it's quite happy for us to be there, which is quite strange. I wonder if it's not one of the ones that hangs around camp or something like that. It just gets used to the presence of cars and people and movement. Either way, very, very cool to see. Yeah, it doesn't seem like it. It's pecking at the ground quite a bit, so it seems like it's finding what it's looking for. It's in good condition. I don't think it's a struggle to find anything. It's just this is how they go about feeding. It's like guinea fowls as well. You know, guinea fowls will cover over 10 kilometers in a day looking for the various food items that it needs to. So they're just busy. They do this and they go in circles and they find little things. And you might find that this little patch that it's in right now has actually got quite a lot of food in it. And that's why it's taking its time and it's kind of going back on itself as it spots things and then goes and pecks and eats them. But these are the guys that are very cool from a tracking point of view, because you can see this behavior of how they walk. So if you had, let's say, a leopard or lion pride walking down the road here and you found this on top, then you would know that that was before the kind of morning period. But if they're on top of the little birds like this, then you know it's very, very fresh. So it's always a good indicator, and why we like the doves walking around on the roads. Certainly helps us with trying to find other things.
We have another wonderful guest with us, Sergio Real. Sergio is a holder of the Ticket to Dream.
I bought a Ticket to Dream because I love WildEarth. All of the guides have been awesome. We've been watching for years, and it's a favorite part of my day to get to watch the drives. I look forward to seeing lots of leopards.
If you want to go on safari with a WildEarth guide, whilst honing your bush knowledge and of course featuring in one of our shows, then head over to our website.
My favorite part of the drive today was definitely an elephant that paid us a visit and came right to our car.
Sign up to be a WildEarth explorer and you could be making your first ever on-screen appearance.
It's amazing being on a live drive in Juma. It's just fantastic. The scenery is beautiful and the animals are even better.
The Wildlife and Environment Society of South Africa, WESA, encourages people to care for the earth. Through innovative projects, they aim to reverse the serious issues that we face in the world today. One of these projects is Green Coast, a proudly South African award for sensitive and well-managed coastal sites. This sustainability project protects our national coastlines while providing unemployed youth with a love for their environment and a hope for the future. WESA is a membership and volunteer-supported organisation. Every supporter is helping to change the only Earth we have. Visit our website to see how you can help care for our Earth.
Oh, it's going to be in trouble now. Oh, this is unbelievable stuff. Here comes a hippo in too. Go, Impala. There's a hippo coming in. I can't believe what we're seeing here. This is what we normally see in East Africa. It's all over. Hippo leaping at the crocodile now. Everything's gone underwater.
Expect the unexpected here on WildEarth daily.
And welcome back, everybody. And you are right on time. We just actually came across this bird, as you can see on your screens. Oh, disappearing through some bushes there. Yeah, it's gone. That was a red-crested koran moving through the bushes there. And if you saw earlier on, you actually can't see the red crest, even though it's called a red-crested koran. But the only time you'll see the crest is when this particular bird is displaying. So they'll raise sort of like their crest on the back, and you'll see that bright red color. But it just disappeared into the grasses there. All right, shall we move on and see what else we can find here? Rather very quiet morning, actually. As I said earlier on, it makes sense because it's so windy. Some of these animals, they, don't move too much when it's very, very windy. Because that sometimes can mess with their sense of hearing around. So it's better to stay in an area, more especially in an area where it might be a little too open. Some animals would actually, like elephants, go to areas that are very, very thick, and they'll move in and around that area. Stay away from the wind. Welcome, Natasha. I'm glad that you can join us. Have I seen a lot of animals giving birth? A very good question. I have actually. And one of my highlights actually is, I would say, watching a buffalo giving birth. Actually not too far away from where we are. And that was actually really, really cool, because when we found that buffalo, it was actually laying down. And for some reason I was thinking, oh, maybe something is wrong with this buffalo or whatever. And then she stood up, and then that's when we realized that, she's about to give birth. And that was really, really cool. And the rest of the herd were in and around in that area, sort of forming a little wall around that area where this female was giving birth. But I have seen quite a few of them, indeed. And if you can see as we drive, you'll see there's actually quite a few trees that are actually still have leaves, are quite still nice and green. At this time of the year when, normally most of the trees lose their leaves and get dry. But the ones that you see right in front of us, it's actually because some of them are all year round green trees. But some of them is because they're in and around in that riverbed where there's plenty of water. So some of them will tend to still have quite a bit of greenery on them. I think we're gonna slowly just head towards camp. But for now, I'm gonna send you over to our other location.
I am absolutely heading towards camp, everyone. 100%, but luckily our camp's next to quarantine, which is where I want to check anyway. And Trico's right, so many of the trees and the sort of vegetation out here has retained its leaves. It's very, very green. It's beautiful. There's Rexon. Hi, Rexon! They're putting mesh around all the marulas to try and protect them, reinforce them a little bit. And since reading that book, The Hidden Life of Trees, actually that's a lie, I'm only halfway through. I have a terrible habit that I got from my mother, where I read multiple books at the one time, up to 5. I pick up, put down, next one, all over the house. It's a very bad habit. I'm not proud of it. But I'm only halfway through that book and really it's given me a completely different perspective of what's actually happening here, what's actually going on with the trees. I'll try and go a little bit deeper into it this afternoon. I know we touch on it all the time, but there's a lot more layers that you can actually go into on what is happening. Just look at these marulas now and think they're all talking to one another, and we just don't even realize it. We think they're all competing. Now that is completely wrong. Why would they compete? I'm trying to find a last-minute animal for you, but quarantine is slightly barren. Impalas, where are you? I wonder why there's no impalas on quarantine. Ding, 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 ding. But since I can't find you impalas, which is rather disappointing, we will give you some spectacular views of quarantine. You can see all the marulas just in a line next to each other, but not too close, giving each other space, but also not too far apart. And you just got to wonder what's going on underground there, and that big network of roots and fungi, sharing and caring and switching, assisting, seeking, all sorts of things. It wouldn't make sense really for them to compete. Otherwise there wouldn't be an ecosystem. There would just be one lonely tree. Isn't it amazing what can happen when you just switch up your perspective? I really do recommend that book. But it has come to that time, everyone, as it does every day, the end of the sunrise safari. The sun is now up and the day's about to begin. But it's been a slow one, a cold one, but a good one. And a big thank you to you all for all your comments and questions. It's a pleasure having you guys on my safari vehicle. Please do join us this afternoon. Have a great day.